Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by our sponsor, ZiiDMS. ZiiDMS is built for dealerships ready to embrace change and unlock their full potential. Yep. As the industry evolves, outdated systems continue to hold dealers back with slow workflows, limited visibility, and operational inefficiencies. From multi-location management and streamlined workflows to real-time reporting and improved visibility across every department, ZiiDMS delivers a modern, scalable platform built to simplify operations, increase your efficiency, and support long-term dealership growth, allowing your team to spend less time managing software and more time driving results. Visit ZiiDMS.com, that's ZiiDMS.com today and schedule your demo.
And I've got world famous Joe Johnson of Tucker Powersports on with me. Joe, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, sir.
Absolutely. You've become a bit of a personality outside of your space and into the powersports other world, I guess, right?
Yeah, just, I think I've got a mission statement pretty close to yours, just trying to help as many people as possible in our industry.
I immediately saw the resource, and they weren't really, in my opinion, that great at it back then, about coming in and training us as, parts people. But I definitely think you guys have made a big shift in doing that now. But that being said, you probably get met with quite a bit of variance in how eager they are to utilize your knowledge or, reps you might bring in from manufacturers or perspective that you walk in and out with. I mean, what's that look like these days?
Well, I believe that's the relationship and the trust. So I always think I've reached the next level when a general manager or parts manager asks me, could we do training on that? Or if I suggest it, they say yes. And that is like another rung on that relationship ladder that they trust you enough to train their employees. And I take that as a great responsibility, and I do not take it for granted at all. Mm-hmm. And I consider it an honor.
What's your approach when you come into a dealership, right? So it's a dealership, let's say it's a dealership that you have that you've never really done much training and haven't been open to it. Where do you kind of bring them in the conversation to get them to say, hey, I got a lot more in-depth knowledge on a category or a certain product line. I'd like to, corner some of your time. Where do you kind of start that?
Well, it's all in the questions and getting to know the customer, their business. I call it getting nosy, mm-hmm. and finding out where the gaps are, where you can then try and solicit your expertise, so to speak. So I will take a few to several weeks getting to know a customer and just going in and asking questions and figure out where a game plan where I can be an asset. We had some training years ago from, I cannot remember the name of the gentleman, but I loved the way that he called either you're coming in and adding, I know that adding value is just so overused, but coming in and being an asset, or are you just a visitor? And I guess the pain or the negative is always stronger than the payoff. So I don't want to be a visitor. So I want to go in and I want to get a great broad stroke of how they run the business, where they might be lacking in the business. And if I can, I've gone through financials with some of my customers. They've given me privy to that to see where we can actually use the P&L and look at it, or the margin, or wherever, where there's a weak spot. So just find the pain is my answer.
You had shared a story with me. I think you had shared it on one of your Facebook Live videos about I think it was a don't judge a book by the cover, and I think anybody that's worked in a retail setting has done that. And, I think if you're smart, you learn quickly that you don't want to do that. You shouldn't do that. You got to move away from that. Do you remember that story? Do you feel like that's one you'd want to share on here?
Yeah, absolutely. I call it my Elvis story.
Elvis?
Yeah, my Elvis story.
Okay.
Because we'll call him Mr. Rock.
Okay.
Mr. Rock came in there. So to set it up, the owners are gone. They're on vacation, except for
the dad.
Is
this a big store or small store?
Okay, this is Kelly's Kawasaki. If I can name drop, I don't know. You can
You're
look that
welcome.
out. I don't know.
You're welcome
This
to, as
is
long
at
as the story's not going to get them mad at you.
no. They won't get mad at me at all.
Okay, Kelly's
Uh,
Kawasaki. Okay.
it's one of the largest Kawasaki dealerships in the country, volume wise, in Mesa, Arizona. And the head cheeses were gone. The dad was there still, but he was, in and out and stuff. And so I was basically running the store. I was the GM for about a week or so. And it's Friday, and it's closing. The guys are pulling in the bikes. Guy shows up, drives up in I think it was a 70s Cadillac with that a rattle can paint job. Something on the hood, I can't remember. He walks in, shaved head when it wasn't cool. This is going back into the 90s. Jean jacket, tattered jeans, old sneakers, and a leather necklace, necklace with it looked like a large disco ball around his neck.
Wow, nice.
As soon as he walks through the door, everyone immediately darts to get busy cleaning up in that. And I'm like, oh, you guys got a million things to do. So I walk up to the guy, greet him. We go through some stuff. He goes through the story and says, I was just down the street at an American motorcycle shop, and they could not get me out of there fast enough. And they were basically, in so many words, he told me they were rude. Mm. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. Well, and then I go through the questions. What are you looking for? What kind of riding and stuff? Well, at that time in the 90s, we were doing Vulcan 1500s with Larry Vela custom paint jobs. Now, this guy's a hot rod painter, and this is some really badass artwork on some of these. Fantastic. I had about 9 of them. And he says, I see you're closing. I like these. I don't know between these 3 bikes, but I'll be back in the morning, and I'm going to buy from you. And I'm like, well, thank you, Mr. Rock. I appreciate that. And he goes, no, I appreciate you and the time you gave me. And he basically, as a salesman, you know what that is, the be back button. Mm-hmm. I'll be back.
Good luck.
So then, yeah, exactly. It's a no sale 99% of the time. Saturday morning comes around, and back then in the 90s, watercraft was real busy and motorcycles were doing very well. So we had a full store. He gets in there mid-morning, and I've already got 6 people deep at the finance office. I see him. I greet him. Mr. Rock, how you doing? Nice to see you. I'm glad you came back. He goes, yeah, I'm here. And I go, well, I got about 6 people. Just go ahead and look at the bikes. You got any questions? Let me know. Yada, yada, yada. And I go about my business. About 45 minutes later, half an hour, I finally get Mr. Rock to sit down, and he brings a young man with him and sits down at the desk with me. And I'm like, okay, okay, you brought a friend. That's nice to do. He introduced me and stuff. He goes, yes, I just met him outside. He's looking at the same motorcycles I am. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he goes, I'd like to buy that one. And for my friend, I'd like to buy this one. And I had to pause. I'm like, you just met him? You're buying bike? Yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. Everything you know about any scam or anything when you're in sales, this is not. So I write up the worksheet on 2 of these custom bikes. I mean, obviously they got custom paint jobs on them, so they're a little bit more in that. And we're going through the numbers. I show him the numbers, looks at it intently for a very short time. Again, another red flag. He turns it around. He goes, that'll be fine. And then I'm looking at him. Meanwhile, the gentleman, his young friend he just brought up, is on the phone. And he's checking insurance. And as he hangs up, he's just he just looks like he ate something bad. He's just like, I can't afford this bike. It's 1,500 cc's. My insurance is going to be this. He goes, I appreciate this, but I don't think this is going to work for me personally. And I'm like, oh, that's too bad. And Mr. Stoneberg, or Mr. Rock says, don't worry about it. I'll pay for your first year's insurance. Boom, another red flag. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So now the young man is getting a little weirded out. I mean, I thought I was weirded out. He's getting really weirded out. Like, what is this leading to? So they start discussing this and that, and I basically come to a solution. I grab a napkin that's sitting on the thing, and I write out a simple contract for him. I go, if you guys like this, change it, whatever and stuff. Just agree with this and have him sign it. And Mr. Stone, he just signs it right away and gives it to the kid. And I go, okay. And they're like, the kid's like, yeah, pay for my insurance, buy me a bike. Of course, I'm okay. I go to the office. I show the owner there. And this guy is my mentor. This guy taught me the motorcycle business. And he's just looking at me with a smirk like, whatever. How's he paying for it? And I go, he's writing a check. Now, in those days, we used to go down and hammer checks if we were leery. But this was so weird that we called the bank. Now, they can't give away personal information. They can't tell you any fun. I mean, it's all, don't worry, people. The banks are still private. And I talked to the lady, and as I talked, I got her on speakerphone with the owner, and I'm like, you understand why we're calling. I know you can't give away anything, but we just want to make sure before I run down here on a busy day that I can get this cash check. And she goes, I cannot give away any privacy or personal information, but I will tell you this. Mr. Rock has more than enough money to do this. He's done it before, and he will do it again. Yeah. My owner's looking
serial bike gifter.
Yeah, exactly. And the owner's looking at me like, no way. I've been doing this for, decades upon decades. This is no way. So then we cut to the end of the day. I hammer the check. Everything went through. And I go through the bikes with the young man. He picks his up first. Mr. Rock doesn't come in till late. We go through this. It's after close now because we've been waiting for him because he was running late. And I'm sitting at the front curb as he drives away. And the owner looks over and he goes, "You are the luckiest son of a bitch I've ever met." Because it all went through, and every single salesman in the store walked around slack-jawed for about 2 days because they couldn't believe they walked this guy who looked like he came up off the streets. If he wouldn't have driven, they would have been even more, negative towards him. And it was a huge lesson in our shop of not to judge a book by its cover. And then I said as he drove away, I forgot the last line was, "Elvis has left the building."
If you work in a retail store, hopefully you're buying from your own damn retail store, but you know that you're going to experience yourself being the consumer elsewhere, either at another store that has something different or, outside of your sphere of influence in power sports. And you'd like to think at all times when you walk in, as much you can't be the all-knowing in all these other categories. So you always want to go to the person that has that depth of knowledge. And I think, in a lot of cases, if we're talking aftermarket especially, right now it sure seems like the best way for these guys to plug into that is with you, the distributor rep. Right?
Yeah. Do the training. Become the source of information, become the expert on that, because the difference when that guy comes in after he's already looked at that at whatever online store, he wants to touch it and feel it. Now it's your shot. What do they got? 8 out of 10, I think is the last article I read. 8 out of 10 people will touch and feel it in the dealership. 6 out of 10 minimum. Mm-hmm. So you've got a shot at these guys and gals that are buying online. They're coming into your store. So how are you going to set that? 1, you're going to create a customer experience. 2, you become a source of information. And 3, assure them of their purchase, which none of that they get from the online.
If we can, take staff, that work for us and work, for the customers that we serve, and find a way to untap, some creative within them. I think that's the way we can really get them driven down to that level of I don't know, not even experience. It's just information and knowledge and really being the go-to at a place. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, most people don't know where to start, I guess. So, you got to break this mold that you've been in for 30 years because you've made a great living. And unfortunately, in life, you've just got to change. And being, if you say you're not creative, you're not going to be. But if you make a general try at it, you'll be surprised at how fast you can actually generate ideas. And this is a bit of the inexperience for me, because I'm trying to implement this with a very low number of customers right now. But the gist of it is trying to get the juices going where there's none. It's dry right now, and you need to create some creativity, that they don't know where to start. They're just like sit around and, okay, we're going to have a meeting. Well, you got to, the meeting's got to have a plan. And, and rather than look around at each other, and I've been in those meetings and it's not very productive. So you need to get something going. Now, my go-to is the idea box. And an idea box is probably the easiest way to create content on what you're trying to do. So question me on this too, Brian, if I'm not explaining this correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So in an idea box, you come out with, let's use an example. We're going to improve the design for a laundry hamper. Okay, so on the top of the idea box, you're going to have basically your suits of cards, your diamonds, your hearts, and that. And then on the left side going down, you're going to have the numbers of the cards. That's the best way I remember it. So the suits would be for improving a design for a laundry hamper would be the material, the shape, the finish, and position. Now, and then what you go down underneath each heading, material, wicker, plastic, paper, metal, net material, the shape, square, cylindrical, etc. The finish, natural, painted, clear, etc. Position, sits on the floor, on the ceiling, on the wall, on the door. Okay, so now you've got all your suits, which is basically your different aspects of the idea. Then you've created subcategories underneath each one. Now, once you've got that idea box written out, that's why I have a huge whiteboard in my office. Now you circle and connect the different categories to create something. So for this gentleman here who did the improve the design for a laundry hamper, he took net material circled, drew a line over to the next category, cylindrical, painted for the finish, and on the door. And he created basically a basketball hoop for your dirty laundry, and it goes into this bag that comes off on a string so you can bring it to the laundry. And he took something that has been the same forever and created a multi-million-dollar business.
Hey, thank you so much for hanging out and listening to this throwback episode of the Dealership Fixit podcast. We pulled this one out because the lessons still hit hard even today. If you got something out of this one, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. We've got new episodes dropping, plus more throwbacks just like this one in between. There's a ton more on the channel, so go check it out. You might find a couple other episodes that'll help you out. See you on the next one.
Still guessing what to pay on a used bike? Still holding aged units that just won't move? It's time for a real system. MotoHunt's ultimate used inventory playbook shows how the best dealers are finding better inventory, pricing trades right, and turning used bikes faster with fewer mistakes and more margin. It's short, real, and free to download right now. Visit dealers.motohunt.com to grab your copy or check for the link in the notes.